Welcome to the workshop on stepping towards problem and project-based learning for academic excellence. So myself, Amar NK from Department of Electronics Engineering. So I'm presenting the case study on electronic measurement and instrumentation. So this is the course structure. Uh, Total there are 3 lectures per week and 1 practical per week. We are teaching this subject to SYB Tech Electronics. These are the course learning objectives: to study static and dynamic characteristics of instrument, to study the operation and applications of different testing and measuring instruments, then to understand the working principle of sensors and transducers, to study the operation and design of this circuit, data acquisition system and data converters. These are the objectives, and course learning outcomes are: the first one, after the completion of the course, the student should be able to analyze different static and dynamic characteristics of instrument, and based on this will able to select particular instrument for the measurement. So this is for first course outcome, and as we have used the analyze word, therefore this comes under the analyzing category, and the Bloom's level is 4. Then second CO is classify and select transducer sensors for particular application. Bloom's level is 5 and it comes under evaluating. Then design AC and DC bridges for relevant parameter measurement. Then fourth CO is demonstrate the use of signal generators, analyzers, frequency counter, CRO, data acquisition system, ADC and DAC for appropriate measurement. So this is about course learning objectives and outcomes. So for electronic measurement and instrument, total there are 6 chapters. The first chapter is basic measurement system, then analog and digital measurement, oscilloscopes and signal generators, fourth chapter transducers, fifth AC and DC bridges, and sixth one is the data acquisition system. While designing the project problems, design the project problem in such a manner that while solving this project problem, we have to cover all these chapters. That point must be noted. Now, what is the need of PBL? To develop PBL curriculum for course electronic measurement and instrumentation, PBL curriculum includes the details such as problem statement, activities of project with timeline, then assessment and evaluation strategies for the desirable outcomes of the project work. So before applying the PBL, you should have problem statements for applying the PBL. Then you should have the evaluation scheme or evaluation strategy. And for finalize the evaluation scheme, you should have the rubrics. So without rubric, we can't evaluate our project. Okay. So first, define the problem statements. Number of problem statements depends upon number of students in the class. You may define 7 to 8 problems, or you may define up to 10 problems. It's up to you. While defining the problem, the one most important point is that the problem should be social and innovative. Now, how to write the problem, that we'll see later. Now we'll see learner analysis and user level analysis. Learner analysis means for whom this course is to be created. Okay, so this is created for student. So in conventional learning, the student may not work in teams. Some students have strong mathematical background, some they are having weak, mathematically weak. There may be poor communication skill, there may be good communication skill students. Then there is less concentration on the subject and there are less thinking capabilities in the student. So to improve all these skills, we need project-based learning. This will increase the creative thinking, the employer MNCs, local industries, real life problem solving, then excellent programming skills, design skills. This comes under the creative thinking. Then when the student working in team, then automatically it learns the collaborative learning. Then he learns how to use the different simulation softwares, so he will get the computing capabilities. So these are the benefits of project based learning. The main advantage of PBL is that it gets the active learning capabilities. Students should remain active always in project based learning, otherwise he will be lagging in project work. That is noted while applying the PBL. Now, what is PBL? What do you mean by PBL? How does PBL work? And what are the advantages of PBL? So, project based learning starts with problems. So, as told earlier, initially you have to define different project problems. Problems may be 7 to 8 problems, maybe 10 problems, maybe 15 problems. While defining the problem, one point is important, which is problems must be socially innovative. Then problem becomes motivation for the students and they solve the problem in group. Okay, so we have to form the groups or student may form the groups on their own. The number of students in group may vary from 4 students to 6 students, 8 students, etc. Then student gain knowledge and different skills while solving the problem. Now how this happens, that we'll see in next successive slides. Then how PBL works. So group of students coming together, generally 4 to 6 students in a group with PBL implementer. So implementer or PBL mentor or PBL facilitator, we can say. So along with that facilitator, the student groups will work on the project. Okay. Uh, Project groups come across 2 times a week. So for each week there will be a 2 hour time. So twice they come across in a week. So they will get total 4 hours to work on the project. And while working on the project, they will discuss different ideas, different issues based on their allotted project or based on their selected project. Students discuss various issues related to given project problem during this project work slot. Now, how does it work? They learn the theory related to project problem in class. So there may be 3 lectures per week. So during that period, they will learn the theory associated with problem, and that theory part they will discuss at the time of practical. whichever points required for their project, they will discuss in a group. So second point, then they will discuss on what they learn in class at the time of PBL practical slot, and they apply the new knowledge to the given problem. Okay. Then additional activities are PBL lab sessions, lectures mentioned in the timetable. So methodology. First, development of course PBL curriculum and assessment evaluation strategies for achieving desirable outcome. So as told earlier, first thing is that you have to define the your curriculum for project-based learning. Then define the number of problems which are socially useful and innovative. Then after defining the problems, you have to define the evaluation scheme, evaluation parameters, and once you decided the evaluation parameters, then decide the design rubrics. Okay, and with the help of rubrics, we can evaluate the project. Then define the social innovative problems for the students. Then actual implementation of PBL course in entire academic semester. So this work is going on in entire semester. So taking students' responses for PBL activities. So at the end you have to take the feedback from the student, then review of student responses and attainment of course outcomes. So this we can say the roadmap for the PBL activities. So first is identification of problem statement. So the PBL mentor will make a list of problems. Problems may be 8 problems, 10 problems. So out of these 8 to 10 problems, the each group will select one particular problem according to their choice. Then finalization of assessment and evaluation methods and rubrics. So as told earlier, first define the or finalize the evaluation scheme, then finalize evaluation parameters, and with the help of evaluation parameters design the rubrics. Then next, declaration of problem statement and evaluation rubrics in class. So initially go to the class and declare the problem statements and evaluation rubrics for the given problem. Then after that you have to prepare the synopsis for the given problem. So synopsis consisting of introduction, relevance, problem statement, present theories and practices, proposed methodology, and summary, and at last there may be references. Okay, so total there may be 6 to 10 pages synopsis, and after completion of synopsis on paper there may be a presentation, or there must be a presentation. So in that presentation each group will give the presentation, and after giving the presentation you suggest them some suggestions and improvement, and after implementing those suggestions, corrections in the synopsis, then they have to resubmit the synopsis. Then after that regularly monitor the progress of project of each groups. Then final evaluation of the project. So at the end of semester you have to take the final evaluation of the project of each groups. then taking the student feedback and finding the attainment. Then problem statement for course level project based learning. So my subject is electronic measurement and instrumentation. The theory code is 0305 and practical code is 0332. So we are implementing this project based learning uh, for the practical slot. So total there are 50 marks for the practical. So 25 marks they are for experimental performance and 25 marks for project based learning. Okay, and here we are evaluating the project for 50 marks and then it is converted to 25 marks. Okay, so problem statement, these are the guidelines for how to write the project statement or problem statement. Create working model, prototype of your innovative product or idea which can be very much useful to mankind and society by applying knowledge and skills of electronic measurement and instrumentation. Okay, so problem description. So problem must be useful for day-to-day life and industries. By using these electronic systems, it is possible to create a social innovative product or develop solution for problems faced by mankind and society in daily life, agricultural, industrial, automotive, renewable energy sources, home automation, household appliances, and any suitable sector. Okay. So this is the description for writing the problem statement. Now PBL activities timeline. So in first week you have to give the introduction to PBL to the students in class. That is what is PBL, how we are going to implement the PBL, what will be the activities in PBL during entire semester that you have to discuss in class in front of students. Then second point, discussion of different PBL problems and evaluation rubrics in class. So after giving the introduction, uh, whatever problems you have finalized, those problems you have to discuss in class and its evaluation strategy or evaluation rubrics. How you are going to evaluate each project, that you have to discuss in front of students in detail. Hmm. If there are doubts from student end, you have to clarify each and every doubt. Okay. Then after discussing the problems, evaluation scheme and rubrics, then you have to, or student will form the project teams. Okay. Group size may be 4 students per group, 5 students, 6 students. It depends upon how many students are there in class. Okay, and how many problems you have defined. Then week number 3, problem selection and finalization. Give freedom to the students to choose one of the problem from 7 to 8 problems those you have defined. So they will choose the problem, and once they have finalized the problem, then ask them to prepare the synopsis. So discuss the synopsis format in class. General synopsis format I have already explained. First you have to write the introduction, then relevance, then problem statement, then present theories and practices, proposed methodology, then summary, and at last references. Okay. Then after writing the synopsis and giving the corrections to the synopsis, and once the synopsis is finalized, then conduct the presentation of synopsis for each group and assign some marks for this synopsis presentation. So I have assigned here 5 marks for synopsis presentation. So I have given 5 marks for synopsis presentation, and for final evaluation I have given 45 marks. Okay, so total marks are 50. Then after synopsis presentation, give some suggestions, improvements to the synopsis, and they will resubmit the synopsis after sub corrections. Then project progress presentation with model. So once they have prepared the model, then take the review of that project model. Then give some suggestions, improvements to their project, and finally conduct their final demo or final presentation of the project work. Okay, so these are the activities. These are the activities of entire semester under PBL. These are the activities during PBL project slot, then synopsis presentation, then final presentation. So this is the evaluation scheme. So as told earlier, I have given total 50 marks, and then 50 marks are converted to 25 marks. Okay, so 5 marks for synopsis presentation, hardware functionality 10, software functionality 10, teamwork 10, demonstration and report 10, creativity 5. Sometimes in project there may not be any hardware, so in that case for software functionality or for coding, give 20 marks. Okay, then these are the rubrics for synopsis presentation. Of course this synopsis presentation is for 5 marks, therefore maximum marks mentioned here 5 marks for excellent, 4 for good, 3 for moderate, and 1 or 2 for poor. Okay, if the synopsis are organized well, then presentation is excellent, communication flow is clear, and all questions are answered correctly, then we can give out of out marks for the synopsis presentation. Then for good synopsis organized in Piscat format with no grammatical mistakes, synopsis explaining the matter means problem, definition appropriately, then presentation flow is average here. Okay, then very few questions not answered here, therefore marks are 4. So here the presentation flow is average and very few questions answered correctly. Okay, then in poor synopsis, not in appropriate format, grammatical mistakes, then explaining the matter problem definition appropriately, then flow of presentation is poor, no questions answered correctly. Okay, so this is about synopsis presentation. Then there are remaining 45 marks. So here hardware implementation or hardware functionality, we can say it is for 10 marks, and software functionality or software implementation, it is for 10 marks. Okay, so max marks here is 10. Okay, so for excellent I have given 8 to 10 marks, You may change here. Good for good 7 to 8, moderate 5 to 6, and poor varying from 1 to 4. Okay. So in hardware functionality, the circuit satisfies the requirements, the entire circuit works correctly. Then in good, the circuit satisfies most of the requirements, a large part of the circuit works correctly. Okay, means some part is not working, therefore it comes under good category. Then in moderate, circuit satisfies only part of the requirements and only small part of the circuit works correctly, so therefore it comes under moderate. And in poor, the circuit does not encounter the requirements, the circuit is unacceptable or does not function at all, therefore it is comes under poor category. So here you can give marks out of 10 regarding in which category it comes. Then software implementation or software functionality, sometimes we can call it as a coding. Okay? So program satisfies the requirements, the program works properly, the program flow is clear, efficient use of instructions, therefore it comes under excellent category. Then in good, program satisfies most of the requirements, a large part of the program works properly, the program flow is clear with minimum confusions. So here there are some confusions, but confusions are less. Acceptable uses of instructions, and therefore it is coming in good category. Then moderate, program satisfies only part of the requirements, only small part of the program works properly. The program flow is unclear with several major confusions and insufficient use of instructions. Therefore, it is coming under moderate category. Then in poor, program does not encounter the requirements, the program does not function at all, the program flow is extremely confusing to the reader, wrong usage of instructions. So this is nothing but the software implementation. It is also for 10 marks. Then teamwork is for 10 marks and demonstration report is for 10 marks and creativity is for 5 marks. Okay. So here I have not mentioned, but the creativity or creativeness is for 5 marks. So total is 50. So in teamwork, in excellent category, equal work distribution, excellent coordination among them. Then very few work is not distributed, therefore it comes under good category. Less than 30% work not properly distributed, therefore moderate. Neither work nor proper coordination, therefore poor. Then demonstration and report, you may call it as a presentation and report. Proper explanation of project idea, its working principle with desired output, and all questioned answers correctly, no plagiarism. So this is for report. So if there is no plagiarism, you may categorize as excellent. Or here you, if you want to allow the plagiarism, then you may give here 10%, 20, 30, 40, etc. Okay, it's depends on you. Then under good category, proper explanation of project idea, its working principle with desired output, and very few questions answered correctly. Okay, and plagiarism is 10%. Therefore, it comes under good category. Here, plagiarism is 20%, and questions are not answered properly. Therefore, it is moderate. In poor, very less information about project idea, its working principle, and improper output, no questions answered correctly, more than 20% plagiarism. Therefore, it comes under poor. Creativeness means whether the group has performed some additional work or not. For that, you may assign some marks. Okay. So sufficient additional features are included in the project. Therefore, it is an excellent category. Then in good, additional features are included in the project, but not very significant. So very less amount of additional work is mm, included here. Additional features are included in the project, offer no significant improvement on the project. So it doesn't make any effect on the output of the project. Then no additional features are included in the project, therefore poor. Then project under electronic measurement and instrumentation. So we have defined these project ideas under electronic measurement and instrumentation. If you observe all project ideas or project problems, then all are useful for the society and they are some innovative. Okay. The first one is city air pollution monitoring system. So here you have to monitor the air pollution. Then soil parameter measurement system. This is second one. Then third is measurement of sound level on joints for health monitoring. So many older people they are having problems of knee joints or joint problems. So for recording its sound is useful project for the society. So we have included that project. Then electronic torque range measurement system. Then assistance to blind person in traffic. So in traffic, some assistant is required for the blind person. So therefore, this project is socially innovative. Measurement of yield of plantation, and this is for agricultural field. Then earthing quality measurement system. This is useful for home as well as for industry. Once again, this is benefited for society, beneficial for society. So in this way, we have defined these project ideas. Then I will give one example, and it's assessment. You may call it as a case study. Now here I have written one problem statement. Nowadays, due to the higher fuel prices, it is costlier to use conventional vehicles which works on fuel. Therefore, it's today's need of vehicle which will run on solar as well as electricity. So this is the problem statement. Now here you have to work on a vehicle uh, which will run on either on solar or on electricity. Okay. Then what chapters are required to solve this given problem? Okay. So above problem statement is based on following chapter. Above means previous slide problem. Okay. So for solving that problem statement, following chapters are required. So chapter number 1 is introduction to sensors. Chapter number 2, DC motors and drives. Then unit number 3, ignition system. Unit number 4, non-conventional energy sources. Then unit number 5, design of solar panel. And unit number 6, smart vehicles technologies and applications. To assess above problem statement parameters, to assess above problem statement, the parameters selected are here comma is required. The parameters selected are power consumption, then average of the vehicle, price of the vehicle, and cc of the vehicle. Okay, so we have categorized A, B, C, D, E, and parameters are power consumption, average, price, and cc. Okay, so power consumption is varying from 100 watt to 500 watt. Then average is from 24 kilometer per hour to 14. Then price varying from 5 lakh to 10 lakh. Then cc varying from 800 to 1200. Okay. Suppose we take example, power consumption is 200 watt, average is 24 kilometer per hour, price is 7 lakh, and cc is 1000. Okay. And the corresponding marks are, so as the power consumption is 200, therefore 4 marks. Average 24 kilometers per hour, 5 marks. Price 7 lakh, 3 marks. And cc 1000, 3 marks. Okay. So 5, 5, 5, 5. Total marks out of 20 is 15. Okay. 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 5, 15. So he will get the marks, he or she will get the marks 15 out of 20. So this is one case study. Then PBL advantages. So active learning occurs. A student actively participate while solving the problem. At the time of PBL practicals, they will discuss each and every issue of project seriously. Uh, they will access the internet facility and learn the new things. Therefore, learning also occurs at the same time. Then once they learn the new thing, they may not easily forget the things. Therefore, lifelong learning occurs, and they will acquire different key skills which is required for problem solving, such as communication skill, then leadership qualities, teamwork, creativity, etc. Okay. Then critical thinking occurs, and problem solving skills takes place in the students. Then there is excellent response from the students. We have taken the feedback from the students. So maximum learning opportunities they will get in PBL learning, that is not occurring in conventional learning. Only exam oriented learning takes place in conventional. That is not the case in case of PBL. They will acquire new skills, motivated to figure on small assignments. Figure means work here. Then thinking of more possibilities for solving problems. So they are thinking on different angles. Okay, that point is written further. Looking problem idea from many alternative angles. As there are 4 to 5 students in a group, so they think differently. Therefore, different solutions are coming out. Trying to search out the most effective solution of the problem. So as all students they are actively participating, actively learning new things and actively finding the new solutions, therefore they become a problem solver. Then at last conclusion. So conventionally a student going from exam based pattern, this pattern does not improve skills of applying knowledge. PBL students more inspired and better attitude need additional time, so you will get some short time. Not bookish, but real-time problem solvers. That is, deep learning occurs. They are learning new things, more practical and need to the industry. These are the important points of PBL learning. Then once they learn once they go through the PBL learning, then they may be strong in critical thinking, communication skills, creativity, leadership, and problem solving. Okay, these are the references. That's all from my end. Thank you.